Hello, everyone, and welcome to What to See with Val. And this is another movie spotlight. And today, my movie spotlight is about the Nameless Days. And I have introduce yourselves.
I
Okay.
am Andrew.
He is Andrew
Go
Mecham.
alphabetically.
He is Andrew Mecham.
Okay, and you are Matt Whedon.
That's correct. I'm so glad you remembered.
And Matt, you are an actor in the film. And Andrew, what do you do on the film?
I wrote and directed actually with Matt.
And I am not an actor in the film at all.
Oh, I thought you were. Sorry about that.
I wanted to be, but I wouldn't hire myself to be an actor.
Probably told you.
Sorry, I got bad
No.
notes. So
We at one point I think we were going to have an actor, so I'm sure you were told actor, director, and that would make sense. But yeah, it's Matt and I both wrote and directed.
very cool. And I love it because I love it when I get to highlight local films. So this was a Utah made film right here in Utah, even though it's supposed to take place in Texas, which is great. I mean, it happens all the time. Sometimes people don't understand, but like one of the biggest movies of the year was actually supposed to be set in Montana, but actually was shot in New Zealand. So this happens all the time. But I love it. How long have you wanted to make this movie, and how hard was it to do it in Utah?
I mean, how long did we want to make it? I think it was, maybe a couple years, Matt, where, really start to finish in terms of we hadn't conceived of it that long before we were writing it and had a script done. But
we actually had the potential for funding before we had the story.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I was in California and Andrew called me and said, hey, we might be able to make another movie. There were some stipulations. We had to have like a young female lead, and it had to be sort of in the horror genre. And then you, Andrew, you were saying that you wanted to do something with Mexican mythology.
yeah,
That
it
was
was
kind
just
of the genesis.
interest. Yeah.
Well,
And then
it hits very close to home on the story. So, for those of you that haven't seen The Nameless Days, it opens this weekend and in theaters, and I believe you can stream it as well. And it is a horror film, but I also feel like it's very it is a suspense film, but it also touches on a few things that are very relevant going on right now, kind of in the world. And we've got border issues, we have immigrant issues, we have father-daughter like,
Yeah.
issues. I am a mom whose daughter is almost 21 who recently moved out, and just trying to deal with the relationship of a parent trying to let go of a kid, and a kid trying to figure out who they are on their own. There's a lot of different stories happening here that I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the immigrant part of it actually really grew more out of the mythology that we were looking at. So we had this Aztec myth about these creatures called Cihuateos, who are women who've died in childbirth and come back as demons to hunt for babies. And they're thought specifically to haunt crossroads. So to us, the border was like a big crossroad. And we also, of course, wanted to connect it to Mexico in some way. So that seemed like an obvious way to do that. So it's not really like a political movie, but we do get, we never try to like judge the characters, but it does deal with those issues, certainly.
Yeah, both on either side, because I think you have a Texas rancher who's literally and figuratively on one side of that, but not dealt with in a way that he's a bad guy for it. And then on the other side, we have him, learning to accept these people. And I think overall, it's a message that should be, uplifting, a good,
Yeah.
good
Well,
message
and I
for
definitely, as I was watching the movie, didn't think of it as a political aspect, but most of us have seen Encanto, right? And so,
Right.
people just trying to find a safer place, no matter what that is,
Yeah.
I think is relevant to to people that are watching these movies. And so I thought it was really cool. And I also thought it was great to have two different languages in this movie. I mean, right off the bat, you're speaking Spanish, and
Yeah.
I think that there aren't enough movies out there for Spanish speaking people to like watch and actually be able to connect to. So not only that, but then you've got the horror
Yeah.
genre, which is huge, right? Everybody likes to be scared. Horror is not my favorite genre just because I'm so easily scared.
Yeah.
But I love the mythos in this, and that's why it's not like a slasher horror film. It is this myth, these fairy tales, these folklore that I think is what scares me the most, because they could be based on something real, right? You're thinking to yourself, I mean, it's not too far fetched from maybe something that could happen. And, you have some scenes that really bring you to the edge of your seat as your main female character, who is absolutely fantastic, by the way, kind of leads us through what she's discovering, and we're discovering through her eyes.
Yeah, yeah. It was an interesting thing to here we are, two, middle-aged guys trying to write for a lead female character, and Allie really made that. I'm not saying we're good at that, or she made that work. I don't think we did poorly at that, but she really made it easy. And she would come into those scenes, and her with Charlie too. That dynamic worked so well. And yeah, we got to give her a lot of credit, because I think she did a great job in that.
Yeah, they both did a great job, and there's a lot of emotional intensity between those two. Just naturally, that we didn't inspire that at all. It just came very naturally, and it fit really well with, like you said, the father-daughter theme, the idea that maybe he's too attached to her, being a single parent, his only child, and living in kind of a remote place. So that was great. They were both fantastic.
Yeah, and if if you're local and watching this or listening to it, you've probably seen Charlie Halford in a lot of movies because he's done a lot of local things. Actually, it was funny. He was my acting coach when I was like 20
Oh.
years old.
Oh,
So,
he's a good actor.
he is a
Yeah,
very
he
good
is.
actor.
Yeah.
But I think he's very authentic, and those two together, Allie created such an authentic connection to wanting to respect her dad, but at the same time trying to push those boundaries of, I really need to do what I feel my life, is, and to fight for what she thought was right. Because
Yeah.
a lot of where Charlie's character um, is he's kind of stuck, right, in his own
Yeah.
ways. He's been living on this farm in this place, and these are the ways, of the world, and he's kind of stuck within this little barrier, and she is very much teaching him how things can be different and how it's not scary.
Yeah.
And that story inside of this very, menacing story at the same time is kind of it's kind of a rich creamy nougat, I guess, of
Yeah.
the
Well,
story.
Stuck was really what we wanted him to seem like, because, and it actually really worked out that the house that we filmed in, it was quite a small space, and Charlie is quite a large man,
Yeah.
so he really like filled it up, and it gave a real sense of almost claustrophobia in that house that I really like, because I think it fit that theme really well.
Yeah, right. And then on the flip side, you go outside and it's vast, empty.
Yeah.
And that was a theme that you hit on, but one that we kept talking about as well was distance. There's such a proximity to the dad, to the father, to in that family, in that house, and yet there's such a distance. And then with this monster, there's this distance that they're trying to achieve, and that keeps and it's just sort of Nicole either way trying to get free of it a little bit, and of course with her father it's a different relationship, but yeah, that was something that we were trying to weave throughout, and it was a fun thing to do.
Let's talk about the monster for a minute, because, like, I've gone to film school. You've made a lot of films, and when you're making independent kind of low budget films, a monster can be a little overwhelming because you want it to seem so real. And when your story is based so much on how scary this thing
Mhm.
is, I've seen it done before, and I'm sure you guys have too, where you don't see very much of it. It's more you use the music and you use the lighting and use the camera angles to create that fear. But you guys went full on creation of a monster here that really, really works. Let's talk about the monster for a minute.
I think our last film we did the opposite of that, and I think we really just wanted to do the opposite, and it was
Necessity, though, not so much through choice. I mean, we couldn't do anything else. But yeah, go on.
I say that again, Matt. I missed the
On the
beginning.
first one, I'm saying we really did it through necessity. We really couldn't do it what we wanted to do. It was very low budget. So, but anyway, go on.
Well, but I mean, I subscribe to that idea of seeing it less is more and is scarier. But it really was a challenge in this one to say, okay, we'll obscure it a little bit here and there, and if you see the trailer, it's just right out there. In
Yeah.
the movie, there's a little bit slower of a build up, but then it's there. And
But we definitely did want to not show it too much, and we didn't want it to seem like a super villain, super monster. We wanted it to be more of a creepy, skulking, realistic thing that it's not super strong, it's not super fast, it's not even super smart. It has this singular purpose, is to get the babies, which turns out to be its weak point too. But so we really tried to do that, and the metaphor that we used was a serpent chasing a mouse. So she was the mouse. The serpent isn't fast, but it's relentless. And that's what we try to do, because actually, without a special effects budget, which we didn't really have, we couldn't do a lot more with the movement of the creature. So we did try to keep her in the shadows a bit. And by the way, the person who plays the creature is actually quite beautiful. I like to point that out. She looks hideous in that, but the actual person is quite attractive.
Well, that's acting, right? I
Yeah.
love how you said in the shadows, because I do think that when you finally see the creature in the few points that you do, it's very much something that you would kind of like double check. Like, did I just, see that? It's that scary thing when your room is half dark that you think
Yeah.
you saw, and then you hurry and get out of that room. And so it was very well done in that, like you said, it wasn't overdone. I think that's kind of what misses me sometimes in like horror films or thriller films or monster movies, is that they don't give you any of your own imagination to put towards what is coming at you. And so that was something I thought was very fine tuned. And the music, can we talk about the score for a minute? I kind of just want a copy of that.
I think
as
there's
well.
going to be available.
Nice.
Yeah. I think in a couple of weeks, the composer's putting it out. We actually, so we had an experiment where we had two composers who do, I can't remember what they call it. I mean, it's interesting to talk to them, but it's very atmospheric, and they do
Ambient kind of, yeah.
And so we had an experiment where we had them come to set. We wanted to do it a lot more often. And I want to say I got this idea from David O. Russell, because he'll direct and things, and he'll already have the score in mind. And I thought, and then he might even play it for that scene, before or maybe during, I'm not sure. But the idea was, what if we were to take the scary parts, some scary scenes in this movie, and have it already done, and then have the actors play out the scene to that music. We ended up not being able to practically do it as often as we wanted, because
And you could only do it in scenes without too much dialogue, like action scenes. But
yeah. It was a really cool experience, though. So those guys came in and they kind of pre-built a lot of the score, and then we had Christian Davis, who has composed for us in the past. He does such a great job. And then he does this one, kind of do the final touches to it.
I want to talk to you guys. I usually don't get to do this. It doesn't happen often, where two similar stories of a movie open in the same weekend. And I want to talk about
it does happen.
You won't, well, not it does in some, but not usually when I'm doing an interview, I guess.
Okay.
But the movie You Won't Be Alone, that was at Sundance opens this weekend as well in major theaters. And I have to say, and I interviewed the editor for that film. Your monster's better.
Oh,
Like,
I haven't seen their monster, but I'm
so
glad.
the movie is really good. It's really odd. But what always usually took me out of the movie a little bit is every time their witch, because they have a witch that actually steals babies for a different reason, but it's very kind of similar
Yeah.
in a way. For people that love horror, they're going to be like, oh, this weekend's just, amazing. Both of
Bad
these
time for
movies.
babies this weekend.
Bad time for babies. Keep your babies locked up this weekend. But what brought me out of their movie was kind of how hokey their witch was. I think they were kind of going for that because it was just kind of an odd, artsy film. But I kind of wished it would have had a little bit more of a darker, menacing witch like yours. I think I wouldn't have been taken out so much of it. But I have both of those reviews. Everybody that's listening and watching, you can go whattosee.val.com and you can watch both of these interviews there as well. What is next for you guys? You've got the Nameless Days, which is awesome. People can go see it this weekend and watch it at home if you just want to put your stretchy pants on and not leave. But what do you have
I'll
next?
be putting my stretchy pants on.
I would point out that you can put your stretchy pants on and go to the theater.
I'm wearing my stretchy pants right now. That's what you guys don't know. You want to tell her what we're doing now?
Yeah, we're working on a series right now as opposed to a movie. We've been writing it for a very long time.
Sort of, yeah. Off and on,
well,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I always say that. And I was like, don't make it sound like it's been so long. But that's true because we'll start something and then we'll make a movie. But we've been talking about this project
for a long time,
and then recently been focusing on writing it. But yeah, it's one that we're really excited about, and it's Matt, go ahead with the quick breakdown because you're going to.
I don't know how much we're allowed to say about it. It involves monsters, I'll say that. But yeah, it's
Monsters, Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. So it's gothic horror meets the glitz and glam of Vegas in some very interesting ways.
Yeah.
Where are people going to get to see this, or where can they follow you to find out when all of your new stuff is coming?
Well, we're working with a production company on this right now, and we don't
know. Yeah.
You don't know. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of searching for a home right now. So when it finds a home, we'll be able to let people know.
And you guys they can follow you on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram, Andrew Mecham, Andrew W. Mecham.
And I'm on Instagram. I'm a very boring social media person. I like posts like once in a blue moon, but I have some good cat pictures on there. And,
nice.
Yeah, I think just under my name, probably.
Very cool. And hopefully, your publicist will share the information with me so I can post it on What to See with Val so everybody can find out about the series. And if you're going to go see the movie this weekend or when you do, we would love to hear what you think about the movie. You can comment right here on this video, or you can go to the website at whattosee.val.com because we love to know how much you love your horror films because I need training. I need training in the horror film genre. But again, this is very suspenseful and very folklore. And again, the father-daughter story really hits home for me. So good job, you guys. And I look forward to talking to you guys about your series. That sounds super fun.
Yeah, wait. Thanks for having us on, Val.
Yeah, thanks, Val.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.